Welcome to Soulfire Wisdom with Kate Olson. As an evolving spirit and change adventure navigator, it is Kate's mission to empower and guide you on your path and inspire your truest passions. She will encourage you to share your gifts, speak your truth, and ignite your inner wisdom and purpose. She hopes to do so with a little humor and grace and her own soulfire passion. Kate talks with amazing guests who have embraced the pursuit and are fanning the flames of their own passion, purpose, and soulfire wisdom. Now here's your host, Kate.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Soulfire Wisdom and Tips, Tricks, and Triumphs Tuesday. So, if this is your first time listening, I'm a hypnotherapist, a Reiki master, an NLP practitioner, and a life coach. But I like to call myself a change adventure navigator because I love guiding clients through obstacles and adversity to find their path, purpose, and peace. So, if you've been watching the show for a while, you probably remember back in the beginning where I had my bookcase behind me. And that was actually the last time that was last March. And so I finally got my office done enough and got someone to help me put up the bookcase. So now I have my bookcase background back. So that's my triumph for this week. Slowly but surely. Well, we have a great show planned for today. My guest is Dr. Shannon Barnes, and Dr. Barnes is a counseling psychologist, and she's a doctor of psychology. She has a private practice north of Atlanta, and she's been practicing for about 12 years. And during that time, her clinic has really grown. She actually has seven other therapists on staff now. And as a result of that, she was able to follow another one of her passions and go back to school uh, to pursue a graduate degree in fine arts in painting. And in the process of that, or during that time, the opportunity came along for her to purchase a fine arts gallery. And she seized the opportunity. And so now, today, we're going to talk to her about her journey and what it's like with her dual passions. So I'm really excited to introduce her. I actually met Shannon about, I don't know, 5 years ago at the Personal Development Symposium at the Harvard Faculty Club. And when I walked in, and that was the first time I was there, I looked around and everyone was like milling around, getting a really scrumptious breakfast they had and coffee and things. And so I was trying to decide where to sit, and nobody was sitting down except this beautiful blonde lady over in the corner. And so, since she was the only one sitting down, and I saw, oh, that's somebody. So I went over and I found out why she was sitting down there, not up getting breakfast and coffee like everyone else. She had an injured uh, leg. I'm not sure where exactly, but she had a cast on. And so I'm glad that I chose to sit next to her because I really enjoyed meeting her. And now I'm happy to introduce her. Hi, Shannon.
Hello.
How are you?
I am good. I hope everyone is doing well.
Freezing, I think. So, can you tell the listeners a little bit more about yourself and, you know, fill in some of the blanks there?
Sure. Well, I think the most interesting thing is I am a grandmother. I have 8 grandchildren, boys and girls. The oldest is 10. The youngest is 4 months. So that's a lot of fun. Um, I have 3 daughters. Born and raised in Georgia. Still live here. Don't see myself moving, but I do love to travel all over the world. So.
Okay, well, what got you interested in becoming a psychologist?
Well, I knew that's what I was meant to do when I was in high school. Um, just a lot of mental health needs. I think all teenagers under, go through a lot of mental health issues. They watch their friends. But I didn't choose to go to college right out of high school, so I was kind of a late bloomer. I went back to college when I was almost 30, and that's when I decided to pursue it. Um, Before then, I was actually a hairdresser, which is interestingly enough, there's a lot of non-counseling done with your hairdresser. um, but primarily just mental health needs. Human behavior has always interested me. I find it very intriguing because it can't be predictable. Um, and I've never lost that curiosity about human behavior.
Well, I didn't know that about you. I didn't know that
Hmm.
you were a hairdresser before you went to school for psychology.
Hmm.
So, how do what then made you decide to go back to school for the degree in fine arts?
Art was always a big part of my life because my dad was an artist and I was very close to him. So I watched him growing up. Now I say he was an artist by calling. He was actually what paid the bills was not art because in the North Georgia area where we were raised, there just wasn't a market for the fine arts. But I grew up watching him do it, and he would color with me and paint with me and teach me to draw. And then when he passed away in 2011, I kind of leaned into it just as a way to grieve. But I also knew that the expressiveness and the nonverbal therapeutic value of it, just because of the counseling and the mental health field. So I sort of embraced it all. And it started out just kind of as a hobby and a way to grieve. And then I thought, okay, maybe I can be good at this. Um, and I didn't understand why do something just to throw it away. For me, everything has to be tied to a purpose. So it just kind of grew into, well, I can do something with this. I can sell these paintings. I can do this as maybe one day this will be my retirement job. So then, of course, that led me back to going into the master's program to fine tune those painting skills.
Mm. Well, I remember, I don't know, it must have been a year or less after that symposium, and on Facebook you said, you know, I want to, but I don't know if I have enough courage to post my painting.
Yes, I did go through a spell where, because when you put your art out there into the world, when you put anything that has meaning to you, it's one of your heart areas, and then you sort of present it to the world, you're taking a risk. That's a very vulnerable place.
Yeah,
Um, and I think everyone goes through that, but you have to push through it and take that chance. And it's more about the satisfaction you get from it rather than the reaction you get from others.
yeah, but I think that validation does help At least it makes you a little braver. So,
Validation is one of the needs. It's one of the emotional needs we all have. That
yes.
is important.
So, how do you see success?
Success for me is more of a balance. It's not always about our career accomplishments, though I like money just as well as the next person, and everyone has to pay their bills. But for me, everything in life has to be tied to a purpose, and there seems to be a trade-off. So if we're very successful in our careers, but the stress or the demands has taken a toll on our health, then that's not necessarily success. So I look at success as a holistic, I define it holistically: physical health, mental health, social health, because our connection with others and relationships and our families are important. And I think that's definitely something that most people can relate to through this past year, is isolation takes a toll. We all need connection. We need relationships. And then, of course, spiritual health. So from that holistic point of view, if I can balance that and it's tied to purpose and I can accomplish my goals, for me, that is success. And then I believe there's a ripple effect, and you touch other people's lives, and not everyone, but you plant seeds and you pay it forward, and that's success.
So, in this process of, establishing your first business and then going back to school and buying the art gallery, have there been any obstacles or frustrations?
Yes, many. And interestingly enough, primarily it's been the one thing that intrigues me the most, and that is human behavior. So, on the one hand, where it's always intriguing, and I love the fact that people can't always be predictable, through this process, when things don't go well or people don't keep their word, or there's all these pieces that you didn't expect, and people disappoint, or people are human, right? And so things happen, and then there's the ripple effect from that causes the delay, or this didn't happen the way it should have. So there was a lot of frustration in that. But I try to step back and remember, it's just part of being human. Things happen, and you have to wake up the next day and just keep moving forward.
So, which was more difficult, initially starting your practice or opening the art gallery?
The art gallery. The art gallery, definitely. Because the art gallery was new construction, and I'm familiar. I know that things rarely go as they should with construction and with the permits and all the different moving pieces. And I don't even claim to understand all those different moving pieces. But because of that new construction and the delays and the frustrations with the builders, that was hard. The private practice, it was find an office and get the business license and open the door. Pretty simple.
Okay, so if you could, which we can't, but if you could go back and do something differently, or if you did it again, what would you do differently?
I think if I were going to do anything different, I would lean into the fine arts sooner, because that's something that I could have shared with my dad more. Like I said, it's always been there, but it was one of those things that I just kind of put on the back burner. If I had it to do over, I would include that more in everything else I was doing, and I would use it for balance, and I would use it for coping mechanisms, and I would use it for fun, and I would just be more involved in community arts and performing arts, just because it's such a happy place. I'm thankful that I have it now, but
Yeah.
looking back, I really wish I had have leaned into it a lot earlier.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of a, you know, very optimistic um, regret, if you if you want to call it a regret. It's like I wish I would have done this sooner.
Yeah.
So, what is your favorite type of art or painting that you do?
My favorite is more of the traditional art, um, more of the realism or even the impressionism. I love abstract art. I think it's interesting, and the contemporary art, of course, that's the trends these days. But it's rare that you see the traditional art, the realism, the symbolism, or even the impressionism, where the form and the style is almost perfect. Now, the purpose of the abstract is to get away from that and to be more free within that artistic expression. But I think it's becoming such a rarity, and probably because that was my dad. Everything that he painted was just so real looking, um, and it told a story, and there was no doubt what story it was telling. You didn't have to guess and theorize around it. So that's absolutely my favorite. I do love the abstract arts, certain colors, and how the colors just bring peace or bring happiness. And I do love the sculptures, but those more traditional fine arts paintings that you just don't see too often anymore, that would be my favorite.
So, do you select and show other artists at your gallery?
I do. I have about 9 artists right now that I represent, a variety from everything, abstract, sports art. Now that's been fun. There's an artist that actually he's world known for some of his sports art, and that was new to me. Um,
Who
and
is that?
sculpture. I'm sorry.
Who is that?
His name is Stephen Lester,
Oh, okay.
and he
Not
is
who I was thinking of, but
he's won several awards, and he's supposed to be going to Tokyo for the Olympics if all that works out. Some of that's been, I think, I don't know the details, but I think COVID has absolutely affected that as well.
yeah.
Um, but within those artists, they're local, they're out of state. Um, I have one artist who has won awards in Italy, which is in the art world, that's pretty spectacular because art actually originated, over in Italy and France and more over in those countries. So that's been a lot of fun. And I feel very intimidated sometimes because their skill level is, they've been doing it for years and years and years. So intimidated, but also honored. So,
Yeah, it's you can still have a really high appreciation level um, you're even if you're judging, like the absolute world class artists,
hmm
which
yeah.
so um, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but I wondered what you or if you think there's a link between your two passions.
I do. I believe, again, everything in life I feel like is tied to a purpose. Um, and I have a serving heart. You know, as a hairdresser and a cosmetologist, you want people to feel good about themselves and look good. You want them to feel pretty. In the counseling world, you want to help people increase their life satisfaction and their quality of life. In the art world, I believe art speaks to people. It inspires. It can tell stories. It can, someone who's having a bad day can look at that beautiful painting of a sunset and just feel at peace. So I think it's all tied together in terms of just helping people enjoy more positive and balance out. I mean, we live in a negative world, unfortunately. Things happen. Um, it's all about that purpose of having a positive effect on others and hopefully helping others in some way.
Yeah. And I actually think being creative, expressing that creativity can be very therapeutic and healing for people. Um, so what do you have in mind for the future? Do you have any future goals or plans?
I do. Many, many, many. I've always been a out of the box thinker. So, I kind of daydream a lot too. So I don't know if it's ADHD. I don't know if I'm a daydreamer. Maybe it's wisdom. One day it'll pay off. Well, it has paid off, actually. I will say it has paid off. A lot of what I would love to do is branch out and travel and see more art, and how culture affects art, but also getting into the more fun side of art. So, for example, we do have a guest come into our gallery to do a demonstration. He's a border collie. And every time I say that, people's like, a painting dog? Yes, he is so fun. Or at least what I know of him so far. So a lot of fun things like that within travel. And my hope is that both businesses will grow and just kind of take care of themselves. And someone said to me a long, long time ago, and it really did stick with me. And she said, if you're not growing, then you're dying. So as long as there's always expansion, always growing, always an evolution to it, not too much change, but an evolution, then I feel like that I'm doing the right thing. And sometimes that's an unknown. You never know the direction, but.
Yeah. Well, I really like your answer on that. People have often, people are always, when you're talking about something, they say, well, do you have an idea? And I always say, I have unlimited ideas. Because I do. Some of them are bad. I always have one. So I have a question that's kind of off the subject, but I've been asking all of my guests for a while. So what has surprised you most about life?
About life in general?
About life so far, because as you said, we don't know what's going to come next, but.
I think most of the surprises come from some of the traditional ideas that I was taught growing up. And they have value, but as an adult, and especially in these two fields, or even in my own personal life, with my own children and grandchildren, I'm thinking, wait a minute, that's not true, or that goes against what I was taught. And so the surprise of the expectation of, well, because if you're taught A plus B equals C, and then when that doesn't work out, it is a surprise. And you have to challenge yourself to keep learning and to think outside the box. But most of the surprises has come from those expectations that you really think it's a solid expectation, and then it does not happen, or people surprise you, or the cause and effect is not there.
Yes. And I'm sure with 8 grandchildren, you've got even more to come. Those kind of surprises.
Yes.
One recent person told me that what had surprised them most was that you're not done being a parent when your kids grow up. So.
And I can relate to that as well.
Yes.
I think it changes formats, but you'll always be a parent.
So, if you could leave the listeners with one thought from today's show, I guess with relation to, you know, pursuing more than one passion as you've done, what would that be?
Ask yourself what makes your heart sing, whatever those heart areas are, and explore them. And then just step out and through trial and error, you'll find your way. Don't be afraid to fail. That's how we learn. If your heart's in it, it's a passion. It is worth investing in. But some people don't know what makes their heart sing. So just taking time to really reflect and ask themselves that, and come up with just one or two places to start.
Yeah, yeah, that is one of the big um, things that I hear is people saying they don't really know what their passion is or what makes their heart sing, as you say.
Mhm.
And one thing that works for a lot of people is if you go back to childhood and imagine yourself then and what made you happy then. Because a lot of times we let go of those things that were the beginnings of, our true passions.
Mhm. I agree. That's good. That's absolutely good.
So, um, if people wanted to get a hold of you, if they're in the Atlanta area and they want to counseling or they want to come and see the gallery or they want to know what's on your schedule, they want to find out about that collie, how would they get in touch?
All of my information is on both websites. The art gallery is tranquilityfinearts.com. The counseling office is tranquilitycounselingserve.com.
Okay. So, where is the art gallery located?
It is located in Woodstock, Georgia, which is about 30 minutes north of Atlanta.
Okay. And is that where your counseling is
Yes,
also?
yes.
All right. Great. So, I'm glad you could be here today and talk about this. I absolutely love that pursued all of this.
Well, this has been an honor. Thank you for having me. I've very much enjoyed this.
So, I have a little quote for people to carry with them through the week, and that is art is unquestionably one of the purest and highest elements in human happiness. It trains the mind through the eye, and the eye through the mind. As the sun colors flowers, so does art color life. And that was said by John Lubbock, and it's from The Pleasures of Life. So,
Like it.
yes. So, thank you again, Dr. Shannon. And we have a great show planned for next week. Next week, my guest will be Terry Marie, also known as the Angel Lady. And she does a couple of different things. She does angel readings, but she also is an expert on crystals and stones. And I haven't seen anybody be quite as passionate about crystals and stones as she is. So she's going to come and talk to us about some of the meanings and powers and rituals around crystals and stones. So be sure to join us next Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific time, uh, for another show. And I'm just going to say bye for now. And thank you again, Dr. Barnes.
Thank you.
Stay warm and have a good rest of your afternoon.
Thank you for listening to Soul Fire Wisdom with Kate Olson. We hope you enjoyed the show. If we made you laugh, brightened your day, or sparked a new thought, we have succeeded in our mission. Join us next time when we'll share more secrets and truths and all the magic of transformation that is the journey to Soul Fire Wisdom. Always remember, be fierce in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire.